Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com. A homicide investigation leads to an arrest. We have the identity of the suspect and the victim. And one of the largest cocaine busts coincides with a guilty plea from one of the world's most powerful drug traffickers. Plus, the latest on a Maryland father who was wrongfully deported as he returns to federal custody.
And this morning, we are actually tracking some scattered showers and thunderstorms that may have actually woken you up to tune us in. But if you look, we actually have more rain coming away later today and tomorrow, so get excited. All of that in the weather coming up.
And who will be this week's game of the week for the start of the football season this Friday? I'll tell you that later in sport.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and happy Tuesday. Hope you're enjoying waking up to the rain.
That's right, staying dry, hopefully.
And it is National Dog Day, so I know when it rains like this, I'll open the door and I'll let Spartacus go out just to potty really quick.
Yeah, really quick.
I know he's not
Snappy.
going to go far because it is pouring down.
Yeah, it is a little bit. In fact, this morning, if you're tuning in, you can actually see, looking at your radar, we do have a little bit of rain around the area this morning. Most of it is concentrated, as you can see, right there in Victoria County. But something interesting that happened this morning, I'm going to turn on the lightning map. You can see most of the lightning is pretty much withered away, which is kind of surprising to me because I was kind of expecting them to keep its strength as they move inland. But zooming in on all the rain in Victoria County, you can see we did have just a nice little shower just pass over the station not too long ago. If you heard it on our microphones, it was raining pretty good. You could say, some might say it was raining cats and dogs on Dog Day. That little shower is starting to move northward right along Highway 77, going up towards Hallettsville, probably arriving around that area over the next half hour to hour or so. So y'all get ready for that. But I'm showing you this because there's no lightning happening with this storm anymore, because this storm is only at about 21,000 feet high, and 20,000 feet is the mark where it's freezing in the atmosphere, and you need the freezing mark to create graupel, which is small hail, and also very, very small hail. So you need that for a charge to build. And lightning, you can see otherwise a little bit of rain happening in Matagorda County as well, coming up towards Bay City and Palacios over the next 20-30 minutes. So get ready for that. Otherwise, the morning is going to be our best bet for the rain, with all the showers coming on shore off the Gulf, starting out the day kind of warm actually with the rain coming off the Gulf waters. So if you're sending your kiddos out the door, it's going to be just like it is right now, a bit wet, so grab them that umbrella because we may have some more in the afternoon too. We'll have those details next.
A Victoria teen has been arrested in connection to a homicide. Around 5:15 Sunday evening, Victoria police were called to a disturbance on Sycamore Street. When they arrived, they found 19-year-old Gabriel Gonzalez with a fatal gunshot wound. 17-year-old Jonathan Partita was arrested in connection with the case. Police have not said what led to the disturbance, and an investigation remains ongoing. More than 80 migrants with criminal histories have been rounded up in South Texas as part of a multi-agency crackdown called Operation Pickoff. A U.S. attorney says 65 of the people arrested are accused of being in the country without documentation after previously being removed. Charges range from drug offenses and human smuggling to fraud, burglary, and assault. Many could face up to 20 years in prison if convicted. The operation began last Friday and stretched across 4 Rio Grande Valley counties, with federal authorities saying more arrests are expected as the effort expands through other South Texas counties. The jury summoned for 8:30 a.m. Wednesday at the Justice of the Peace number 2 at 4407 Lilac Lane has been canceled. The summons will not be rescheduled. Now to a big win in the fight against Mexican drug cartels. An infamous drug lord's guilty plea coming on the same day we saw a record haul of cocaine. ABC's Rhiannon Alley has the details.
The man prosecutors call one of the most powerful drug traffickers in the world now faces the rest of his life in prison. Ismael Zambada, also known as El Mayo, pleaded guilty in New York to federal drug trafficking charges. He's accused of shipping at least 1.5 million kilos of cocaine since 1980, most of it to the U.S.
Over the last 3 decades, El Mayo and his accomplices made billions of dollars. Hundreds of millions each year they were making by bringing poisonous drugs into our country.
El Mayo, who co-founded Mexico's Sinaloa cartel with the convicted drug lord known as El Chapo, admits keeping control of his billion-dollar empire with violence, bribery, and murder.
Their reign of terror is over.
El Mayo was arrested last year in El Paso, Texas, part of an elaborate sting operation masterminded by El Chapo's son, who led him to believe they were flying to northern Mexico to look at prospective airstrips. El Mayo's guilty plea coming as the Coast Guard, in a separate development, announced it seized 76,000 pounds of illicit drugs, mostly cocaine, offloading the drugs in Fort Lauderdale, the largest cocaine offload in Coast Guard history.
Consider this. The 61,740 pounds of cocaine represent 23 million potentially lethal doses. That's enough to fatally overdose the entire population of the state of Florida.
As for El Mayo, his guilty plea also demands he turn over $15 billion. He will be sentenced to life in prison in January. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia was taken into ICE custody Monday morning. The Maryland construction worker was mistakenly deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador in March. He was returned to the U.S. in June to face human smuggling charges. He reunited with his family last week after his release from federal custody on parole Friday. A Maryland lawyer ordered Monday that Abrego Garcia must stay in the U.S. and be given proper due process. It comes as the Trump administration announced intentions to deport him to Uganda. Remember, follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. The time now, let's get a look at our clock up here. It is 6:36 on our Tuesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. Things are going to start looking different on a Victoria campus as changes take root.
Overnight, President Trump announced he's removing one of the Federal Reserve's governors, something not seen in the agency's 112-year history. I'm Christiane Cordero in Washington with that story coming up.
And also coming up next after the break in the short-term forecast, you heard me say we have more rain, I think, on the way for today and even tomorrow. So coming up next, I'll tell you just when I think the rain will be here. Well, good morning, Crossroads, and happy Tuesday. Looking again at your radar because we do still have a little bit of rain happening out there. Most of it is concentrated in Victoria County, but like we were saying earlier, we do have just a couple isolated showers trying to form right along the coastline coming up into Calhoun County and also Matagorda County as well. This one shower just south of Port Lavaca coming up towards Port Lavaca over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so y'all get ready for that. Otherwise, the shower just south of Palacios right there, coming up towards Palacios in the next about 10 minutes or so y'all get ready for that as well. Otherwise, looking at Victoria County, you can see most of the rain is pretty much cut off in the city. You can see just on the northern end of the city is where the rain is still happening. But we do have one other moderate shower heading up northward along Highway 77 up in the general direction of Hallettsville, and that'll be probably in your area, Hallettsville, maybe half an hour to an hour, so maybe. So y'all get ready for that in case that is coming your way. Chances of this entire morning will be at a nice 50%, and that's going to be the main shot for morning rain today. It'll be in the morning time because you're going to see it right here. We're going to go hour by hour on your future tracker, starting with the morning. Here's 7 a.m., about half an hour away from 20 minutes from now. And then here's 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. You can see a little bit of scattered activity happening in the morning time before most of that should cut off at around noontime. Down to about 20% for around 11 a.m. to about 1 noontime. Maybe just a few spotty showers around the area by that time, but in the afternoon, that chance will rise again to 30% for maybe some isolated showers and storms forming off of the daytime heating, and that will keep with us up until about 6, 7 p.m. Rain activity will cut off then, and then we'll be looking mostly clear for overnight tonight, and then we'll maybe have a repeat scenario tomorrow morning, and then more storms for tomorrow afternoon. So keep your umbrella handy the next 48 hours before the sun's out later this week, and then we have a cool front. Yeah, that's coming up next.
Crossroads, we officially arrived at week 1 of the high school football season. I can't wait to highlight this Friday night's action again. If you missed our Crossroads Football Live preview show from last week, just go to our YouTube page on Crossroads Today YouTube, and you can check out me and Ray talk about everything to get you guys ready for the football season starting This Friday. We also, during the preview show, we hinted about revealing our game of the week. Well, without further ado, we're going to highlight as the Lavaca River rivalry between the Industrial Cobras and the Edna Cowboys. The game will be at Edna and it will be at 7 p.m. This game's going to feature some new quarterbacks in charge and new head coaches in charge. First with the quarterbacks, Edna's going to have Trevor Floyd at the helm, and then also for Industrial, they're in a quarterback battle right now between Zach Villarreal and Cooper Francis. They're replacing longtime quarterback there in Ashton Garza, and also the new head coaches as well. Edna has a new head coach from Blanco and Jamie Dixon. Industrial has a new head coach and Matt Luddick, and these two are going to be key in this game as well again. But the firepower coaches, they're not always going to be the big key. I think the main key for me between the offense-defense alliance, especially for Edna under their captain and from Dave Campbell's defensive preseason MVP and Hunter Bering, he's going to be huge down in the trenches there to make some plays. Also at the tight end spot as well for Edna this year. This prediction could be close. I think Edna can pull this one out there late, but we'll see going this Friday night. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
We want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. For the first time in the Federal Reserve's 112-year history, the U.S. president is now trying to remove a Fed governor. ABC's Christiane Cordero has the latest.
Today, for the first time in the Federal Reserve's 112-year history, a president is trying to remove one of its 7 governors. In a letter posted on social media overnight, President Trump announced he's removing Lisa Cook from her position. Cook is the first black woman in history to serve on the Fed's Board of Governors and has held her position for 3 years. She's pushing back on the president's decision, writing, quote, "President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under law, and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign." For over a week, the Trump administration has accused her of mortgage fraud, claiming she made false statements on previous mortgage agreements.
What she did was bad, so I'll fire her if she doesn't resign.
The move comes during Trump's months-long pressure campaign on the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. While appointed by presidents, the Fed's governors are largely seen as independent economists.
This is an attempt to turn these financial watchdogs, who are supposed to be independent, right into obedient lapdogs who will really do as they are told. This could have an impact on how the world perceives the dollar, our ability to borrow, and so much more.
Experts warn that any uncertainty over the independence of the Federal Reserve could lead to less investment in the U.S., which could push up borrowing costs for consumers on mortgages, car loans, and other forms of credit. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, who's a ranking member of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, is calling on the courts to intervene, blasting Trump's move as illegal and adding it is, quote, "the latest example of a desperate president searching for a scapegoat to cover for his own failure to lower costs for Americans. It's an authoritarian power grab that blatantly violates the Federal Reserve Act." The president's attempt to fire Cook will likely end up at the Supreme Court, which will decide whether she gets to keep her job as the litigation moves forward. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We want to know, should the Federal Reserve lower interest rates? 84% of you say yes, and 16% of you say no. Thank you for taking part in our viewer poll. The first visible sign of change at UHV could be seen Monday. The school's logos are coming down. The new A&M Victoria signs won't be ready until spring of 2026, but temporary banners could go up to fill the gap. Governor Abbott signed the Senate bill moving the school from the University of Houston system into the Texas A&M University system. Under the new law, UHV will officially become A&M Victoria on Monday, making it the 12th university in the A&M system. Students will begin classes on Tuesday. The time now, it is 6:45 on our Tuesday morning. Still to come on Sunrise, the latest from the redistricting struggle unfolding across the country. All right, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to actor and comedian and former SNL writer John Mulaney. The comedian is 43 today.
Ooh, happy birthday, John Mulaney. And also happy birthday to one of the most beloved former child stars, Home Alone's Macaulay Culkin is turning 45 today. Happy birthday, Macaulay. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, you can come to crossroadstoday.com. Just click the drop-down menu, then click the Home tab, and then you'll see Submit Your Birthday Photo.
And I want to wish Karen a happy birthday. Happy birthday to Karen. And the time is now 6:46 on our Tuesday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today.
That's right. Happy birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. I'm sure a lot of y'all saw the 7-day forecast just a few moments ago, and something probably caught your eye. It's going to most likely be this little blue spiky thing right here. What's that all about? That is a cool front, something we haven't seen since like April. Been several months since we've seen the last cool front, like at least a meaningful cool front. And looking at the big picture to kind of see what we're working with out there, it's going to be a few features that we're working with actually. Starting out closest to home, we have this outflow boundary, which is pretty much stalled right here, right along our coast, which is what's bringing us the showers and thunderstorms this morning and for the rest of the morning. But if we look to the north of us, we have this mid-level high pressure system spinning clockwise that's wrapping all sorts of moisture coming out of the Pacific around that high over the Rockies, bringing them a little bit of rain up there in the Rocky Mountains. But that's going to come our way for tomorrow, Wednesday, in the form of a 50% rain chance. But see this big blue thing, that is the preliminary cold front, which actually brought, like we were saying yesterday, temperatures right now, they're in the 40s and the 50s up in the Midwest right now. But that might not the 40s or the 50s, but the front might come our way because of this mid-level low pressure system off the coast of California that is expected to ride over this ridge of high pressure, which is clockwise around that, and it'll come off the mountains over the weekend time, and that should help send the remnants of the cool front a little bit further south. I've actually increased chances of it passing to 60% now, and I think it'll pass probably Sunday night and into Labor Day Monday, dropping our highs to the low 90s. We'll have more on that later on Sunrise.
Texas lawmakers have approved new congressional maps with Republicans aiming to gain additional seats, but fierce resistance is rising from Democrats determined to fight back. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting sat down with local political leaders to get their perspectives on the high-stakes battle unfolding in Texas politics.
Texas Democrats dominated headlines over the past few weeks, leaving the state to avoid a vote on a new congressional map and drawing the ire of Republicans who feel the lawmakers shirked their responsibilities.
Somebody's paying you to do a job. Why not do it, right? Even under protest. I protest, but don't leave the state.
Victoria County Republican Party Chair Bill Posey says it was a strong political move by Republicans, but responses from states like California could counteract Republican gains in Texas.
I believe Gavin Newsom's going to have an effort to possibly redistrict there too. They only have 10 seats in the Republican Party in California. Will they be able to offset that? I don't know.
On the other side of the aisle, County Democratic Party Chair Jewel Buchanan says Democrats' goal was to spark national attention to Republican redistricting efforts.
They didn't go into it thinking that they would change the outcome. They did it to raise awareness. So more and more people would go, well, what's going on?
Buchanan says the Democratic Party may have forward momentum.
What we're going to do is we're going to get out in all of those new districts that are created as Democrats and talk to the voters. What is it that you want from a candidate?
Political expert and professor Woodrow Wilson Wagner says both Republican redistricting and the Democrats' departure may not have accomplished what they each hoped.
I think the result of this could not play in the Republicans' favor, that it energizes the Democratic Party. As far as people protesting and leaving the state, I think it makes good headlines, but it doesn't really move the needle in changing the outcome.
His main concern is that this process of redistricting, normally done after the census every decade, becomes a competition of power between parties.
I wonder if it's a domino effect that never ends, and then it becomes almost a game. And I don't think it's a good idea to start making democracy a game like that.
Trenton Whiting, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
The state may have to deal with some legal action as a result. Organizations like the National Redistricting Foundation are pushing forward with a case submitting a 67-page complaint, calling the redistricting unconstitutional. For now, though, Governor Abbott plans to move quickly on signing new maps into law. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. Protests erupt on a major Israeli highway as a nationwide call for peace and the release of hostages intensifies. Protesters blocked a highway in Tel Aviv this morning as part of a nationwide day of action calling for the release of the remaining hostages held in Gaza and a negotiated end to the war. Demonstrators unfurled several banners, one with the text, "Save the hostages, end the war," and another declaring the war of deception is killing hostages and soldiers. President Donald Trump signed executive orders Monday. One targets cashless bail. Cities that don't change their policies could lose their federal funding. He also signed an order to prosecute those who desecrate the American flag. But this could face legal challenges since the Supreme Court ruled flag burning is protected speech in 1989. Firefighters in California are racing to contain the picket fire as the blaze threatens Napa Vineyards. CAL FIRE and other agencies have now deployed more than 1,000 emergency personnel to the scene. Hand crews, dozers, engines, water, and helicopters are putting an aggressive effort to suppress the blaze. The blaze has grown to more than 6,500 acres. Take a look at this. A large dust storm rolled through the Phoenix area in Arizona Monday night. This massive wall of dust that covered the Phoenix Valley area, it cut visibility to as low as 50 feet. More proof of just how incredibly unlikely it is to win the Powerball jackpot. No one's done it since May 31st. That means the pot is rolling over after no one won again Monday night. Now it's expected to reach $815 million before Wednesday's drawing. That would make it the 7th largest in the lottery's history. The cash value of that payout, if taken in a lump sum, would be about $368 million. DeWitt County is now under a burn ban. The burn ban will be in place for 90 days. It can be lifted early or extended depending on conditions. The penalty for violating the burn ban is a fine of up to $500, plus restitution for fire calls. Lavaca and Calhoun counties are also under a burn ban. And we want to remind y'all to be sure to check out Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV, through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now let's get a look at our forecast with Parker. How's it looking, Parker?
Well, this morning we actually got not too bad of a sunrise happening out there, all thanks to the cloud cover and all the rain around the area. We're going to look at that radar right after this because you could see just all the pretty cloud cover I was just talking about. We got some low level, mid level, and even some taller upper level clouds you can't really see on this. But you can actually see some of the rain that's left over on the ground. This rain has actually warmed us up because the rain came from the Gulf, which the water temperature is still sitting in the mid 80s right now. But air temperature 76 this morning in Victoria. Not too bad of a morning, still pretty warm. But looking at the radar, as promised, you can see most of the rain activity has pretty much weathered away around the area, except for a little bit of it happening on the coast and this happening here in northern Victoria County. You can see most of the rain has cut off where that camera was. The camera is actually located right about here looking southeast. But one little moderate shower coming up north along Highway 77. Other than that, just a few isolated showers along the immediate coast this morning, to which I think our best chance for rain is going to be in the morning time. Chances are 50% for today, most of it for the morning hours, but still a 30% chance for the afternoon time. Maybe a few isolated storms left over. High is going to be in the low 90s for today, thanks to the cloud cover and the rain. Same thing in Victoria. And the very same thing in Cuero. So y'all enjoy the rain that's coming our way today if you see it, because if you don't see it, don't you worry. We have more chances tomorrow at another 50%. And then the sun comes back out Thursday and Friday. And then after that, yep, we might have a cool front this weekend.
All right. I'm going to be cautious with my optimism.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Thank y'all for being with us. Be sure to join Shana, Dawn, Maclovia, and Max at 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10.